Welcome back to the Real Men of Real Estate. Your host, Thomas Chappell, here with our very special guest, Dr. Sharon Barnes. So you was alluding to earlier about LaToya Tilley, who was a guest last month on the show. So if you can continue that, I appreciate it.
Well, as I said, we started working together under a common brokerage in the Inland Empire, and then we decided to start our own investment company. So we incorporated and have our global investment company, and we attracted an angel investor that happened to be related to LaToya as well, and it started open our eyes until the other side of real estate, to that investment side, and that's where the club came in. We were looking to, the first thing we had to realize is that there was two forks in the road for real estate. There was the traditional real estate, the buying and selling and working with investors under the license part, and then there was the investment side, where we could go out and we could buy properties and flip them for a profit. We could come into syndication with other people and buy, so we could leverage up not only for ourselves but for our community. And we had an angel investor who wanted to feed into that and to help the community and to kind of have a private homeowner assistance program for family and friends in our community. And so that's where we started. And from there, we've kind of been connected at the hip.
Now, speaking on an investment side, because I am an investor, and I said I met you at the Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club. Matter of fact, I knew your boss at Coldwell Banker, Lance Martin. Mm-hmm. I've been to a lot of his real estate forecasts that he had over the years. Now he's doing, I don't know if he's still doing, or is he doing virtual or what?
Yeah, everybody's going back and forth.
Yeah,
virtual
exactly.
Is
So
here to stay for some.
When you say you was working with investors, what did that entail? Because a lot of people that's on the couch, they sit back and look at the HDTV programs and say, hey, that looks simple. I can get rich off of one deal real quick, and until they really get into the meat of it, then they like, oh, this is too hard. No, I'm gonna go back to my 8 to 5 and call it a DAY. So, explain on the real estate side, how is it to work with investors and all the details you got to go through with investors?
It had the learning curve because I had to define and understand a true investor from someone who called themselves an investor. Like, I get a call and somebody's an investor. They're looking for these properties, and they have this nice letter of line of credit. And I go out and write 30 or 40 offers and don't get anything. And I don't get paid until you actually buy something and close it. So I'm working for free. And then I find out, okay, we go out, we write the offer, we get it accepted, you go and see it, and then you got to go ask somebody else for the money, and then they say they don't like the deal. Okay, so I wasn't really working for you, I was working with somebody else. I'd rather be with that somebody else. So I had to sift out, okay, and it's a balancing act, okay? Now, we understand an investor, it is a numbers game. Okay,
correct.
Because you're trying to buy with some meat in the game, so you would buy under market because you're going to put money in. You got to calculate the math. Usually that's for people who are really hurting and need to get out, real quick.
Correct.
And so it's also dependent on what the market is doing, okay? There are times when those type of buyers and deals are plentiful. Okay.
Correct.
And everybody can get it, and you come in and you can be a couple thousand over the next investor and whatever. And then there's markets like now with low inventory. People know that they can hold out for higher prices. Prices are going up, so even a deal requires you to pay more, put in the same amount of rehab, and maybe come out with some margin at the end. People started off, when I started coming to the club, people were looking for 40, 60,000, spread.
Right.
Now we're down to 15 to 20, 15,000, 20,000. Okay. If I can do it and clear 15, I'll take a chance. That's some people. Okay. But then all strategies change, because it's like, we got where everybody and their mother wants multifamily. So it's like crabs on the barrel. And we know it's crabs on the barrel in Los Angeles. It's crabs on the barrel all the way around us, okay? But now we have the accessory dwelling unit, which is my passion, these ADUs, where we can have the opportunity to create our own multifamily. So you don't have to be a crab. You can just come out that barrel, come over to me, we find you some property, we buy it, get that main house cash flowing, and then build the ADU and then leverage what you already own and control without all that competition. So market shifts, we have to shift our strategies. And right now, the ADUs is the area where California has passed laws to remove a lot of barriers, give us all the opportunity to be developers. We've never been developers before. I remember when my husband and I bought a new home in Rialto, and we slept in the parking lot. You had to stay in line for 3 days to bid on the next 25 houses that's going to be released. Okay? My parents, my sister, people came up to bring us food, to take our places in line while we went to take a shower. I mean, we were in the life. That's what it took. We sold our home that we were living in Pomona because the house was supposed to be done in 2 months or whatever, but we had to sell before we could close on that. So we sold our house and moved in with my sister-in-law, my husband's sister. It was only supposed to be for maybe 6 weeks, maybe 2 months. We ended up like over 8 months, okay, because the schedule slipped. But that was professional developers who already had the permits, who already had the infrastructure, already had the sewer lines. All that stuff was already done, and they slipped. Now we can go in and we can build our own house, but from the beginning we have to go through getting the drawings, getting the permits, and getting the structure built and completed and then leased out. And some people, they think like, okay, I told you what I wanted, I can afford what I wanted, when you going to deliver it? It's not off the shelf. So you need a lot of support and you need a good team, but in the end, it's worth it. It can create generational wealth. It allows you to leverage what you already own and control and put you to being the lender and not always the borrower. And that's what I really want more people to do before we become crabs in a barrel like LA.
Well, I want to take a step back just a little bit before we get into that part. Talking about investing and what people to understand, because we do have a lot of people that do come to these real estate meetings and saying that they want to be bird doggers and wholesalers and things like that. So I branched off from the Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club, and now I have a club called Black Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club. So if you take out the black, you have Inland Empire, you add the black, then you have the Black Inland Empire. And the only reason why it's black in front of it, because I'm a black host who hosts the club. It's once a month, every third Wednesday of the month. Right now we are virtual. We were live, but now because of the pandemic and Zoom has taken over the world, then now we're virtual. Next year I'll go do both virtual as well as live. And Sharon is one of the mentors of the club, so she has graced her presence with me to be an asset to the club. So when we have these individuals that come to these meetings and saying that they're bird doggers or wholesalers or things like that, what do the agents feel about those individuals? I mean, or they feel like they're as equal, or they feel like they're taken away because they don't have the licensing and they didn't go do all those type of things and whatnot. So are there people that you would work with or not work with?
I think there's both, because when we came in, Latoya and I, when we came into the club, and I speak for myself, when I came in to the club, it was really refreshing to meet people with various interests and resources in that investment and real estate arena. And being a real estate agent is only part of that. I think a real estate agent can be a real asset to an investor and vice versa, but you have to have a real estate agent that understands what the goal of the investor is and is willing to do that. Okay?
Exactly.
And so they have to immerse themselves in understanding that track, as I said before, traditional real estate versus the investment real estate. okay, because there is some differences. The paperwork in the end might be very similar, depending on how they do it, because they're retail investors. I mean, they're buying the MLS, they're going through, but they have certain goals and numbers and locations and different things like that they want to achieve. And then some of those details that the investor goes to, or the way they work with a title company or escrow, it doesn't line up perfectly with what the real estate training is. And so some realtors who don't understand that other side will think that you're doing something illegal or you're doing something whatever. And it's like, I read one time there was like over 70% of the real estate sold was non-MLS. I mean, non-traditional. It's that off-market,
Correct.
Stuff. I mean, they're selling 70% to our 30% traditional, but the way we're taught, that traditional is it. Those are the things we count. That when they say mortgage rates going up and how many buyers we had and none of that, we're talking about that official, but there's a lot of unofficial things going on. And so you really have to find a realtor who's willing to work with an investor and understand that, because it can be mutually beneficial. And I think coming to the club is a great asset because, I remember when I first came in here, kind of playing ear hockey, not really, but people were talking. But I remember they was having a conversation and said they had spent like over $40,000 on real estate training trying to get, their first flips and get set up. And they start coming to the club, and they learn more in a couple of months at the club than the money they spent.
This is true.
Okay, and so it's like, wow, And then you're sitting there, and even with myself, when we did a flip up in the high desert, and things didn't go according to schedule, money didn't stretch as long, and I was blessed to walk into the Black Inland Empire Real Estate Club and find someone who was willing to invest and trust in me that I could pull this off and give me the bridge capital that I needed to make it happen. Otherwise, I could have just everything went down the drain. And so being in the club has been a benefit, and I think it's a benefit to anyone who wants to really get in there to get that group and to get going.
Well, the thing about the club is that, we are non-sales club. We're not selling no books, tapes, videos, or any type of programs and things like that. It's just network support. And like I tell people, all I really want is your brain. I don't want your money, because you get to learn more without having to spend a lot of money just because you think you got it from a guru, and there's no such thing as a guru. No disrespect to the hustle.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But everybody has the same, we all on the same playing field. It's just that how fast do we want it? What we rather get out of it. So that's what the clubs offer and things like that. So I had the opportunity to work with you as well as your partner in crime, LaToya, and you guys were sending me stuff and understanding what we were looking for, because it's hard to find investors that's going to capitalize. I've heard a lot of agents get mad because, you're always putting a low ball offer in. It's because the numbers have to work out. And then a lot of the agents that I know that was definitely black, they end up getting out of the game because they felt like they wasn't taught right, and they're not making no money and this, that, and the other. So they had to go back and get a regular 8 to 5, and then they came back to real estate. And it's
a hard, because you have to. To be real estate, you really have to have that entrepreneur spirit. Okay?
Exactly.
I mean, the entrepreneur works things you're passionate about, and there's no guaranteed, flow or results from that effort as far as monetary. Every week or 2 weeks, you're not getting paid.
Exactly.
So you have to do. I mean, I'm still, trying to get the cash flow. Okay, it's like, I want to have a relationship with my income, not just be kind of like a beck and call girl. Like, okay, you close this when you got some money, but you do without it for 6 months. But this is just something that we have to work towards. But real estate you're in business for yourself, and whether you're with a broker or not, it's your business, and you're an entrepreneur. And if you don't embrace that spirit, then yes, a job with 9 to 5 and a paycheck is probably where you need to be.
Well, see, like I tell everybody, it's just like watching Shark Tank. You have a panel, and the panel sit there. You bring the product, and the panel decides whether or not they want to invest into your product.
Exactly.
So we're about to take another commercial break. We'll be right back with our guest, Dr. Barnes. This is the Real Men of Real Estate. Thank you.